So I just got a bunch of different questions all over the place. Um, you good with any question?
All of them. Bring in the heat, man. Bring in the heat.
Okay, okay. One little pet peeve I have is your graph on your Duper app only shows 1 week at a time. Can you please try to expand that so you could say, I want to see a month at a time or even a year? I'm noticing a lot of ads. uh, Both ads and requests to subscribe. I heard your salary is very, very high, so it makes sense. How many employees? Just I don't think people realize how many employees does
Yeah,
Duper have.
we have around 60 employees right now. We have
Wow.
like 200 API partners, platforms that we work with. So those all require, like
200?
200, man, from booking system to videos to event management softwares.
Oh
We
my
are
God. Do you use the reliability rating in determining a Duper chain? I'm a 4-2 and I'm playing a 3-5 player. I have to beat them by, it seems like a pretty substantial amount for my Duper not to go down.
yeah.
Can you talk to that? Because I mean, I just looked at Ben Johns's Dupers, and this past week his Duper went down almost every match, and he won most of the matches. I've actually had some top level players tell me that they will only play in my tournament if I don't report it to Duper. Oh, how do you calculate a player's initial rating if it's their very first tournament? Is it the results of the first
There's two
match?
things. Do you want to have the most accurate duper possible, or you want to have the most inflated duper possible for your own sake? That depends on what is your goal. If
Well,
you're
you
looking
used to have the most inflated Duper
exactly,
algorithm.
exactly.
Now
So
you're trying to
yeah,
adjust doubles. Are you simply taking the average Duper of one team versus the average Duper of the other team to figure out what the prediction is?
and the
Or
reliability. Remember, the reliability has a massive part on the weight. So
I've heard some people say that they just they create a second Duper account and sort of like try to close out their old Duper account. Do, do you allow multiple Duper accounts? Well, but if they're using a different email, how do you know? Why don't you at least give us a reliability graph so that we know, just like you're giving us a Duper history,
yeah,
give us the reliability history.
great point. Yep,
That would be very useful.
that's a great point. I will definitely bring it up with the team because that's
Right.
actually really good. I had not thought about that, to be honest with you, and that's a great tool right there.
Welcome to Pickleball is Life.
Announcing the Players Courtyard Open on December 5th through the 7th. We're going back to the Players Courtyard Pickleball Club, an impressive 13-court indoor facility in Morristown, New Jersey.
Register online at pickleballbrackets.com. Scan the QR code for the link.
And announcing the Boca Open February 26th through March 1st in Boca Raton, Florida, at Patch Reef Park with 18 brand new covered courts. We'll also be hosting the Yvonne Lendl Charity Pickleball Exhibition for the third year on Thursday night of the tournament. Hi, Tito Machado. Is I pronounce your last name correctly?
That's correctly. That was the best I've heard it in a long time. Good job.
You are the CEO of DUPR. When did you start as the CEO?
Yeah, I started in 2023 as CEO. I had been in the company from the beginning. I left
Oh,
and then I came back as CEO. So yeah, like around 3 years. It just seems it's been like 10 or 20. I don't know. So it's tough. I think pickable years are like
right.
dog years.
So you were there when it first started or
Yeah.
early
So
on?
back on December 2021, I got a call talking about this thing called pickleball, and like I was working in tennis historically in my career. I was working tennis. I was working for a company called UTR,
Sure.
and I was
Yeah.
working with with clubs all over the world. So I got a call about pickleball. We had a lot of discussions in the past there about pickleball and like doing a rating, and it was always like I think it wasn't taken too serious in padel and pickleball. Look at us now.
Right.
So yeah, got a call. I was able to fly to an event down in Arizona, and I fell in love right away. So I left my comfortable job for a complete startup idea. Steve Kuhn had the idea of selling teams to celebrity owners, and then DUPR was a part of it, and all of this was kind of falling into pieces. It sounded wild at the beginning, but honestly, best decision I ever made.
Right. I heard you mention Padel. Is there a Padel rating system?
There's a pedal system here in the US growing quite strongly called Red Paddle.
Okay.
And then there is a couple of internationals with Playtomic, a big platform over there. Padel is interesting, man, because Padel has been growing for way longer than people think. It's just coming
Oh,
here
yeah.
now. So
Sure.
there is like 4 or 5 governing bodies globally.
Okay.
It's just like a little. I know we think pickleball was messy. I think padel was even more messy because you have different countries involved, this and that. At least
Right.
pickleball was kind of growing only inside of the US, and it was like now it's different. Now we're all over the world, but at the
Right.
beginning, the war and all of the things were happening in one country and not in like 5 or 6 at the same time.
It's not in the Olympics yet, right?
It's not. It's not.
Right.
I
I'm
think we're
curious who's
doing
going to make
it.
it first,
Yeah,
Padel or pickleball?
that's a big question, man. It's funny enough. I think this last year, pickleball has organized itself way faster than expected.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so let's get into DUPR. I have some questions. Let me bring up my list of questions. They're in no great order. One little pet peeve I have is your graph on your DUPR app only shows 1 week at a time. Can you please try to expand that so you could say, I want to see a month at a time or even a year at a time, just to see where a particular player's rating has been and is going. I'm a tournament director, just so you know, so I'm constantly going to DUPR to investigate a player's rating.
For sure, for sure. So a couple of things. We are doing kind of like a reboot of many different tools. I think we've been focusing on calibrating a bunch of different data points since the algo change and making some moves. And the whole goal is like Q1 of next year, we're going to add sub scores, which is going to be more, more than
We're gonna get into all those. I'm just
perfect,
talking about
perfect,
the
perfect.
graph. Is
Yeah. No,
is
I
the
think what I'm
graph
trying
any
to
plans to change the graphing?
Yeah, no, what I'm trying to say with that is with the whole reboot, we're gonna change all of everything that you're seeing right
Okay,
now. We're kind of like packing all of the things together. So when the graph comes, I mean,
got it.
we agree. I don't like the graph at all right now. We're adding a bunch of different things. We're waiting. Like this month, we're launching something with the graph and a couple other things. December, we're launching a couple of other tools. So, but
Okay.
really, Q1 of next year is the goal to do a revamp on everything, aesthetics, how it looks, and a bunch of different things.
So there's an update plan for Q1.
Yes.
Got it. Next, and these are in any random order. I'm noticing a lot of ads, uh, both ads and requests to subscribe, and it's becoming a little overwhelming. Just as some feedback, um, almost to the level of annoying that you can't go into DUPR without 3 ads and asking to be subscribe. So and that's somewhat recent, within the last 6 months or 9 months. Could you describe, sort of? I assume you're just trying to raise money. It's obvious.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a fair question, and I think we've been running a not only running, but we've been running a free company
Right.
for 5 years.
Yep.
We have a big staff, and we also sponsor half of the events that you see in the world. We help organizers.
Understood.
We do scholarships for college kids. We pay the college tour, the minor league tour, prize money. So we've been running a very, very supportive platform for the community in every single
Right.
way. Of course, we need to find ways to keep things free, keep the rating free, keep the platform free, keep the lights on, and monetize. So to be able to, pay everyone's salary, keep everyone on keep bringing more, tech people.
I heard your salary is very, very high, so it makes sense.
No. We are a startup. So, but listen, we need more engineers to make all
How
of these
many
changes.
how many employees? Just I don't think people realize how many employees does
Yeah,
Cooper have.
we have around 60 employees right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have thought that many. And that's
yeah.
just for DUPR, just for managing
That's
DUPR.
for DUPR. Yes, yes,
Right.
yeah. So the
Is the
volume,
vast majority of them in the tech side or in the business side?
we have a lot on the business side. Like things like we have 9,000 clubs right now. We have like 200 API partners, platforms that we work with. So those all require, like
200?
200, man, from booking system to videos to event management softwares.
Oh
We
my
are
God.
Yeah, so we have a
That's
big operation, and we're in Asia, we're in Australia, we're like all over the world. Like we have 158 countries. So in our vision has always like, hey, we want to keep the rating for free, right? That we want to allow all of these things. Again, we're working and operating at such a big company level and with so many different things. And we've always looked for ways to, hey, like, let's add ads so we don't have to pass the charge on this person or on this. Let's add
right.
more value. So honestly, I know it's annoying, but I promise you, in many ways, we've done that model almost for the community rather than against the community, to
Right.
keep things available and free without having to go and put charge you for things, because a lot of the things that we're doing with we have a full account management team for clubs, for example, and tournament organizers and everything else. And we don't charge any SaaS fee or any fee for the organizer or anything there. So that's just out of the, we are putting that team to make sure that, you have someone to call, you have someone to run events with, and you have all of the things. So it's a matter of balance, Nick, and we're trying to find the right balance to be able to support our platform and support our team and grow. And of course, I have a board that ask us for monetize and make sure we grow, because we are a business. So, and again, I think for the next year or so, it's about finding that balance between, as you said, the ads not being annoying, keeping things available for the players. So it's just like the growing pains of a startup trying to offer a service, but also trying to monetize and finding what the right place is.
Yeah, it's just some basic feedback that it's a little overwhelming right now to go into the app. So hopefully some adjustment. Okay. Do you use the reliability rating in determining a DUPR change? Meaning, if I'm playing a person with like a 5 or 10% reliability rating, and is that 5 or 10% used versus I'm playing somebody with a 90% reliability rating when it's calculating my rating change?
Yeah, all of those factors go in, and
Okay.
who you playing, how much history do we have from that player, who they're playing with. So everything, all of those factors are accounted into the movement of the algorithm. So yes, there's going to be more or less movement if we're not that sure of who you're playing against, right? It's going to have a less effect on the impact on
Okay.
your rating. So everything
Because basically, I think the biggest complaint I'm getting from players is when I uh, have to play against someone that is a low reliability rating. I really don't want it to affect my score much because who knows what this player really is.
yeah.
And then the second issue is when I'm playing, it could be one way or the other, but let's say I'm a 4-2 and I'm playing a 3-5 player. I have to beat them by, it seems like a pretty substantial amount for my duper not to go down. Um,
Yeah.
can you talk to that? Because I mean, I just looked at Ben Johns's dupers, and this past week, his duper went down almost every match and he won most of the matches.
Yeah. So I think this is
I
something very,
understand the algorithm, but that is the biggest complaint people are getting.
yeah,
I've actually had some top level players tell me that they will only play in my tournament if I don't report it to Duper. I can't
yeah,
believe I actually got that request, but I literally I'm getting that kind of request. I run this summer league with like 200 players, and uh, this year I had to ask the players, or the players had me ask everyone, do you want the scores reported to Duper? And the compromise I came up with was anybody that doesn't want their scores reported to Duper, I'll honor that. It's a social summer league, right?
yeah,
And sometimes people want to play with a friend. They're not really thinking of playing as a tournament. They wouldn't might not play with them in a tournament. And so what happened was so many people said no that very few of the matches got reported because anyone that said no in a foursome of a match, I couldn't report that score. So um, that's the situation I'm being faced with. You know, I think it's a combination of, well, it's all, I guess, a reaction to you deciding to lower people's dupers, which I completely understand the algorithm, lower people's dupers when they win a match, but they don't win it by what you're predicting they should win it by.
yeah. So I think this is I think this is a little bit of a flaw on the way that we built it initially, Nick, in terms of sometimes, and this is we're seeing this all over the place. Duper is seen as a reward and a punishment system, right? Like if you go up, we're rewarding you. If you go down, we're getting punished, right? The best way to see your Duper rating is more of a calibration. We're calibrating, we're receiving more data, so the number is just kind of like calibrating, right? And getting back
Mhm.
to the base. We're learning more about what's happening on that game, and we're learning more. We're looking, and also most importantly, we're looking at a body of data, right? Like Ben Jones has like 1,000 games. We're looking at the 1,000 games and looking at how he competed on those games, and we're calibrating. We're looking at an average of all of those games that you have, and then giving you a rating, right? But the problem is whenever you see a green arrow up, right? Green arrow is yay,
Right.
reward, right? When I see a red arrow down, it's like Duper sucks. Like, they punish me for winning or not. It's just like it's just more of a learning concept, right? And learning, we're just learning a little more about you on that game. But most of the time, right, we're seeing very small movement, Nick. Right? We're seeing like movement on the 1,000th of a place. Like if I weren't showing the last two decimal points that I'm showing, right, people wouldn't even know that there was real movement. I think it's the red arrow, the green arrow, right, that really upsets people, and I get it because I'm a competitor as well, and I don't like to see a red anywhere. And like we've been taught since we're kids, right? When you see something marked in red, it's like a negative.
Mhm.
And maybe we need to change that. But movement on a 1,000 of a place, it's negligent. It doesn't mean anything, right? The real numbers that matter is the first one and the second one on a rating. That's the truth. If you're moving to the 1,000th of play, we just learn a little small information, negligent amount, and yeah, you might have gone down. But again, we're looking at the whole average of who you are on the pickleball court. So we're trying. Honestly, one of the reasons I want to get to talk to you, and all of the players around is kind of like figure out, how explain these things, why we're moving. The other thing that is causing a lot of movement with people, Nick, is on the past algo we had a big issue on inflation. Okay, big issue on inflation. And you as a tournament director, I don't know if you've seen this, but we have people that were very dominant on small groups, right? And they keep getting rewarded on the old algo. Like you might have not been competing that great, but if you win all the time in your group of friends and you're playing Duper games, you could end up being Ben Jones level, because it's
Right.
a when, keep going up, right? So the problem is that that algo left us like an inheritance. It left us a little bit of a bipolar system, right? And there is a lot of players at that very high level, Nick, right, that maybe are not as high level as they're supposed to be. Like,
So you're
I have an
bringing them
example.
down by making them have to win by a lot.
Yeah, because I had a case this week, for example, that I looked. This is you're gonna understand. You as a tournament director are gonna know this exactly. I had a great guy reach out to me. He was very upset about his algorithm way going down. He was all the way at a 5-9. Okay, he's playing 4 or 5 tournaments in Pennsylvania in Allentown. Okay, and he's playing 4 or 5 tournaments at that level. He's the strongest by far in his community.
Right.
Now, he was going and going and going. He was almost at a PPA top player level,
Yep.
like he was
Yep.
in there. But his tournaments history, he's beating 4 6s, 4 7s, 4 8s, and that's kind of the level that he's playing at. So the scores were pretty, 11-5, 11-6. So the gap between those two is not, even if he wins every single game, we're learning that the gap between him at a 5-8, 5-9 with a 4-8, it's not as big. So the algo is just calibrating itself, and it's going to take a little bit of time because of the issues that we have with the past algorithm to get everyone at the right place that they're supposed to be. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow, right? If you work very hard to get to your 5-8, 5-9, you won all of your games, you've been winning for
Right.
2 years, and now
And you're
I'm
still
coming.
winning games, but you're not winning them by enough to go up.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but if we look at level, and we look at level, or the way that we are trying to look at level is not something subjective. We're trying to tell a metric where we create this formula that says, with the data that we have, this is who you are. It's like, I always say this, it's like speed, right? 30 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour, no matter who's running them, right? It's an actual metric of how fast you're going, right? DUPR has to be the closest thing with all of the data that we have to be able to give you a metric to put you in a
Right.
place. So
Now,
that's a calculation
is
period.
some
Yeah.
of the problem that you don't actually use all the data you have on a player to calculate a match's change, your change for a particular match? You only use the data in a sense for that match to make the change. You're not looking back at the history. And I mean, there was some adjustment that occurred a while ago, but every match is, you're using the data for that match to make the calculation other than the reliability, I guess, value that the players have, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so yes and no. So we are a per game basis. You're completely right, right? Like
Right.
but the amount that you move within that match has to do with all your history, how reliable you are. When was the last time
Just
you played?
the reliability rating, right? None of the
Exactly.
other matches
Which were the
count.
reliability rating does include all of the history of the matches.
Right. And the uh is there an example of a, I don't know, um you take Ben Johns playing, you take a, let's say you take a 5-0 player playing a 4-0 player in singles. That's the easiest example, I guess. What does a 5-0 player have to beat a 4-0 player by to have their rating go up?
I mean, that's like an 11-1, 11-1, and we have the forecast tool these days that you're able to use and
Right, right.
and plug it in. But again, one of the things is, like, we're not learning that much from that game. If there is any movement, that if the 5-0 player underperforms, yeah, there might be a slight 0.001, like, because we learned that maybe we had a stronger prediction of what that person was. But again, when we're looking at this movement, we're looking at, first of all,
So if the
reliability.
reliability of the 4-0 player was 100%, it's
Yeah,
going to move by more than if the reliability of the 4-0 player was less, right?
correct.
Okay. Um, but so the general complaint, which it's a legit complaint, is that when I have these open brackets, which I allow anybody to play in, and the top players don't want to play in them because they're reported to DUPR because they could come up against a 3-5 or a 4-0 player and they're fives dot something, players, and they just can't beat them, 11-1 or 11-0 every time, so they know when they go on the court with this weaker player, their DUPR is going to go down.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and when they and
it's a tough thing
it's a
to
tough.
solve. I don't know what the answer is other than what you're doing, which is adjusting. Now, sometimes I see a zero change. What does a zero change mean? That it was exactly what you predicted?
No, so we had at the beginning of the algo change. And let me go back real quick on that case, and then I explain the zero sum. But the tough conundrum that we have right now is like, yes, I get that that's kind of like a difficult situation on that level, but if they play up as well, right? If they go and play if that 5-0 goes and plays against, goes and signs up for a pro tournament and a 5-6, they also have the opportunity to go up. I think one of the things that I'm trying to have people. Listen. Maybe we just take the last 2 decimal points away, because that's exactly where it comes down to. Like, I get it.
What's that?
Like, maybe we take down, like we take down the last 2 decimal points, right? Because again, we're just showing way too much of the data, Nick, and I think that's where
Yeah,
it gets.
yeah,
We're giving such a deep lens on movement, and again, like in any other scenario in the world, if I told you that you move down 0.0001, like, you would not even blink, would be like, it's negligible, right? And then, hey, by the way, if in that same tournament you also play with someone
yeah.
who is a 4-6 and you overperform, it's gonna go up. As I said, small movements up and down averages itself out. There's some tournaments where you're the favorite, some tournaments where you're not the favorite. There should be a good mix of both tournaments that you're playing, where you're able to get good games. But going back to the zero that you were mentioning, so actually, when we made the algo change, we were not accounting for games where there is a 1 point difference. So if someone was playing, if you're a 4-0, the example you gave me before, playing against a 5-0, we were not counting those. So we were not giving anyone, because like
Oh,
the distance was so far away
right.
from those games that they weren't counting. Now we are back to counting those games,
Got it.
because uh, we do have that bipolar issue that I told you before, where I have some players that were looking at their history and
Way
they're
up.
rated way too low, and some of them are way too up. So when the lower player is playing against that player, they're actually closer than they're supposed to be. So I don't want, I don't want to punish the lower level player, and I also have to bring down the inflation that I have on that side. As I said, that inflation is creating some high level players being a little pissed off because they're rated a little higher than they're supposed to.
Right. Understood. Understood. Oh, how do you calculate a player's initial rating if it's their very first tournament? Is it the results of the first match that they're playing
Yeah,
against?
yeah. So it's the results of like, if the four players don't have a rating, right? It's impossible for us. So that's,
Got it.
so right. We put people at a 3-5 with zero reliability, right? No reliability at all, and we give them a 3-5. We're thinking about. I would love to hear your thoughts about this, Nick, because like some people tell me it's way too high on the 3-5 because you have a 2-0 that starts at 3-5, and it's considered. The problem is that then I also have like a former college tennis player that is actually like
Right.
a 4-3 out of the bat, right? And like,
Maybe it's the bracket that they play in. So if they're playing in a 3-0 bracket, start them at 3-0. If they're playing in a 3-5 bracket, you use the bracket that they're playing in, which you probably don't know exactly what level the brackets are.
I don't, man.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
need
thing that
more data, I think, from
I've
the
been telling that
integrations.
we've been talking about that with the, and this is where it gets very difficult, Nick, because like, I have to go and tell another platform who has a big roadmap and be like, hey guys, I need you
Right,
to build this
right.
for me so I get the data cleaner. And by the way, they're fantastic, they do a great job, but it's not always on our terms, right? If I were able to get all of that data faster, but they also have to build more technology because a tournament organizer wants a round robin splitting partners, and so
in a related question, when you're playing doubles, I think doubles can be an issue. Can you talk to that? Because you could be playing with a weaker partner, or let's say your opponent's got, you're in a 4-0 match and you've got a 4-9 partner on one of the players is a 4-9, the other one's like a 3-8, right? So are you combining and averaging their ratings compared to yours?
Yeah, we're looking at the combined rating. We're looking at the combined rating of them. As I said, we're looking at the reliability, who you're playing with, what the reliability is. We're including all of these factors, and yeah, this is
I think doubles can be an issue potentially, right?
Yeah. Doubles can be an issue. And I think what we need to get this more and more accurate, right, is like having enough match. Like if you're playing, Nick, right, we need to. Sometimes you're gonna be the stronger player, and sometimes you're gonna be the weaker player, and it all averages itself out. I think I would recommend for people that only play with one partner, right, that they also try to play with other partners, because that gives us information, right? We're trying to learn, hey, how do you perform with different partners? Who is the strongest player? If you play with this partner, like the format that is best for us to get the most accurate information, that I always recommend tournament organizers to run, is a king of the hill splitting partners, right? And this
mixing up partners.
Exactly. So if you do like a up and down king of the hill, right, where if you win, you go up, split partners. If you lose, you go down, split partners, and you get a session of those in 1 hour, right? You usually see the strongest player, no matter who they're playing, all the way on the top of the court. We had them playing with 8 different partners, and that's the easiest way to get enough data points. We will get someone accurately rated in that session. We have enough data from who they're playing with, different opponents, all of these different things, and now we're getting that person competing in all of those sides. So that's if you only play with your group of friends and you only play with the same partner all the time, we're not a magical system. We need to see you on different data points with different people to be able to understand who you are.
Right. Yeah. It would be nice if you could tell how many hits each player hit in a match to adjust. Because I run tournaments and it's, gender doubles, split age doubles, and mixed doubles. And a lot of times the DUPR rating of the two players is a wider gap, which I think can cause some issues, correct?
Yeah, it can and cannot. Again, it really depends. It really depends on how much information we have from the player.
Right.
All data points are great, right? But if, as I said before, right, if we only have you on we only have one story about you. That's all we know about you. But if we have you with different partners, we learn. We learn how you perform with different on mix. We learn how you play on with all of these different partners. So if you want to have, there's two things. Do you want to have the most accurate DUPR possible, or you want to have the most inflated DUPR possible for your own sake? That depends on what is your goal.
Well, you used to have the most inflated DUPR algorithm.
Exactly.
Now you're trying to adjust.
Leave the ego away, right? We want to leave the ego and look for accuracy. And accuracy is, we need different data sets to learn more about the player. And once we have them, the pros are great.
But just back to doubles.
Yeah.
In doubles, are you simply taking the average DUPR of one team versus the average DUPR of the other team to figure out what the prediction is?
And the reliability. Remember, the reliability has a massive part on the weight. So as we're taking the mix, but we're also looking at each player's reliability and everything that goes into the reliability to see how much it impacts. For example, I have some teams, and I've seen this complaint before. I have some teams that they see different impact for the same win. It's like, oh, my partner went up 0.0. Sorry, my partner went up 0.03, and I went down 0.01. Why am I not getting the same credit that from my partner as well? That's because, hey, maybe you have a higher rating, maybe you have a more reliability. We know more information about you, your partner. We learn more from that game about your partner than we learn about you, considering your history of matches, if that makes sense.
You said you worked for UTR.
Yes.
Did UTR have the same issue with people complaining about the rating changes?
So it's
got to be the same issue, right?
Yes, it was just different demographic. So the big issue that we have at UTR is that it was more kids going to college and parents being obsessed because so imagine that, right? Because now it's that was really the people who cared about UTR were like high performance juniors trying to get into their college. So there was so much pressure put into this number because it could mean that you will play for Stanford or you could play for
Right.
another school. So it got very intense there, and people there was a lot of cheating around it. There was a lot of like kids retiring, so it wouldn't affect their UTR. Like people would if they were losing 2-0 retire, so it wouldn't count for the UTR. Like it got pretty crazy because
right, retired, the match.
Yeah.
In regards to that, I've heard some people say that they just they create a second DUPR account and sort of like try to close out their old DUPR account. Do you allow multiple DUPR accounts? Well, but if they're using a different email, how do you know?
Yes. So we're actually launching. That's where we launched the verified concept coming right now. We merge them. By the way, we see Nick and Nicholas from Chicago, same age, same location. We have a whole system that is looking for those, and then we merge those two accounts, and then by the way, if you do it again, you get kicked out of the platform. So we look for that. We look for that now. We're adding the verified accounts where we're going to ask people to put their phone number as well if they want to play verified events, and our tournament organizers want to do it. At some point, we're going to look at even a higher level of event and tournament verification, Nick, which will be like, hey, let's check IDs for the tournament director, and you will we will guarantee that we're going to give more weight to those games once there's a verified tournament where, people show that, Tito Machado is here, Tito Machado ID, I have a verified DUPR account, I show my ID on the thing. We're adding all of those measures because, we've been trying, it's funny, man, because we've been trying to make it super accessible in any way possible. Pickleball is a recreational game and stuff like that, but then people game the system. We have a lot of people trying to game it, and we catch them, and honestly, there is a great point of the community, man. It's funny because people will know and they will reach out to us. Like, my buddy, please don't tell him, but my buddy Nick is putting some fake scores in and fake DUPR. And again, you're not getting anything from that. It doesn't mean anything. It's a metric. We're trying to create level.
So, here's another question. I had an actual situation this past weekend where I had a 4.7 rated player who wanted to play 4-5. 4-0, excuse me. I didn't have a 4-5. I only had a 4-0 bracket. And they had a 1 reliability rating. Hadn't played a tournament in over a year. And somebody complained. And I had to, this happens at least once or twice per tournament. I had to research the player to see if they're, I'm going to allow them to come in, because Pickleball Tournaments doesn't allow them to register with too high a DUPR rating,
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? Do you have an opinion on what tournament directors can do in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a really good question, because this is one of the biggest issues that we're trying to solve, right? In one way, the tournament directors are our best friends. We need to support them. We need to help them. And I know that you're already asking for people to have a DUPR, and now adding a reliability layer, it just makes it more difficult. Now, but in a perfect world, right? If you're playing in certain brackets, a requirement of reliability, I think that will be the ideal world, the utopia, right? Hey, everyone, if you want to play, you have to be on this reliability. The reason that will be the case is because we have a lot of people who inflated the rating, or they found a way and they sat on it and they protected the rating, and now they have a low reliability, and they're trying to play those.
How can somebody have a 1 reliability rating? They've played 4 or 5 tournaments, but not recently. Does the reliability rating drop a lot if they just happen to not play tournaments? Or
yeah, because what we cannot say as DUPR is that we are sure, we don't have a certainty that Tito Machado is a 4-7 anymore, because we haven't seen any scores or any matches from this player
but their skill level isn't going to drop just because they haven't played in tournaments for a year, but have played in 5 or 6 2 years ago and 3 years ago, right?
But how do I know? Because for example, there was a time I was a 5-0. I haven't been playing a lot. I have an injury, right? I went to play the other day with my fellow 5-0 players, man, and I'm not a 5-0 anymore because I haven't been playing. The level has been going up. People are like, I am not the 5-0. I mean, maybe I look a par on the warm up, and I know.
But if you take a year off for whatever reason, right? Is your reliability going to drop to like 1?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
So if you don't see regular,
Recency.
You know what would be nice? You know what would be nice is keeping the reliability value with every time the rating changes. So I would have liked to gone back to see what she got. This player got a 4.7, I believe. I would have loved to known what her reliability rating was back then, a year ago.
Yeah.
All I saw was 1 now, and a history of the other history that is what I loved about the PBR. Do you know the PBR?
No. What?
Pickleballtournaments.com, pickleballbrackets.com rating system.
Yeah.
They had the best, I have to admit, I wish you guys had this, but they had the best summary and statistics of a player. You could see all the tournaments they played in, what they medaled, where they medaled. It was just such good depth of data to really dig into a player's, history and ability.
Yeah.
Pickleball, the new pickleballtournaments.com has some of that, but it's not as good as the old PBR.
Yeah, no, and we're adding a bunch of those things as well here with all of the sub scores and everything else that we're added, and we're adding prompts as well, so you're able to learn from the player, like, hey, this is what they compete. We're adding a little bit. One of the goals is kind of like adding a little AI as well, so you're able to learn a little more on those players and kind of get a little more information for tournament directors. No, for sure, it's with low reliability is a tough one, right? Because also some pickleball has changed, the level is changed.
Why don't you at least give us a reliability graph so that we know, just like you're giving us a DUPR history?
Yeah,
give us the reliability history.
Great point. Yep,
that would be very useful.
That's a great point. I will definitely bring it up with the team, because that's actually really good. I had not thought about that, to be honest with you, and that's a great tool right there.
Okay, I got to run. I really appreciate your time. Hang in there. You're getting a lot of, I guess you're the #1 complaint department person, right?
Right. Listen, it's okay, man. People care.
It's an impossible job. It's an impossible job.
Yeah. And as I said, Nick, for us, it's important one of the reasons I want to get myself out there, and I appreciate you giving me the time today as well, is we want people to know that we're reading, we're listening, we're working on it, we're taking the feedback. Like, you're never gonna strive for perfection, but we always want to strive for perfection. We're never gonna get there, but we're trying to work and listen to every single thing. My wife tells me all the time, like, dude, stop reading Reddit on the forum, stop reading Pickleball forum, stop reading this. Like, you're gonna get, because I get so obsessed with like, okay, we should,
right. You want to respond to each issue, right?
and I'm like, I wish I had like 200 engineers just to get everything that we want right now and built and ready and this and that. It doesn't work like that. I wish it was, but we truly care, and we want to make this as best as we can.
Right.
So
okay, thanks so much. I'll talk to you. Hopefully, we'll talk in the future.
Have a good one, man. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
And if you want to support my channel, here's my Pickleball's Life clothing line with fleece jackets, quarter zips, racerbacks, t-shirts, shorts, hats, visors, and sport towels. Purchase them online or order them during tournament registration. Another way you can support my channel is to use the Amazon product links I have in the description of the video. There's no cost to you or added cost, or you can go to my Amazon storefront and select a product. And check out my Pickleball venues Google map. There's a link in the description. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, all I ask is that you please subscribe by clicking on the top left and share this video with your friends. If you want to see some other pickleball videos, they're here in the center. My other YouTube channel, Tesla Life, is on the bottom left. Check it out. My Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts are listed on the right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.